Hello and welcome to the first video in a suite of videos designed to support you in the transition from our existing transfers and cancellations process to the newly designed processes. The way the suite of videos has been created is we've got a different video for each business function. So if you're going to transfer a public booking, there is a video that specifically centers and concentrates on transfer and public booking. Similarly, in company cancellations, in company transfers, and so on. What I wanted to do to prevent me repeating myself on every video, I wanted to have I wanted to create this video which sets out to describe some of the general rules and some of the general processes that are true throughout the various different business processes that you would use the transfers and cancellations screens for. So I've got a test opportunity here. The main things we're going to look at is the invoicing side, how you flag an opportunity to be invoiced. Similarly, before you can do a transfer or cancellation on any opportunities that already have an invoice, you will be prompted to request finance to credit the invoice first, and you will be prevented from doing the transfer or cancellation until that invoice has been credited. Okay, so I've got a test opportunity here. We've got a booking on there of a quantity of 2. We've got the relative public bookings that are associated to them, and I'm going to introduce you to a new section of the screen where we find some finance information. We've got this new field which is an invoice status. This instructs the finance team based upon a number of rules and much automation. This field gets updated to instruct the finance team to credit an invoice associated with an opportunity or create an invoice for an opportunity. So we can see at the moment we're at the stage of this opportunity of quote proposal, so there's no action from finance. Now as soon as we go up and set this to booking received, which I'll do now. I realise for the sales guys you won't put it to booking received, you instead put it to customer approved. Logistics then, they'll check the booking, send out course notes, etc., and then put it to booking received. So I'll go ahead and put it to booking received, and we'll click save. And what we'll see if we scroll down to that finance section again is we'll now see that it's marked to be invoiced. It's been flagged finance to invoice op. I'll go off now and invoice this op. I'll pause the recording for just a second, and then we'll come back and see what's happened once the op has been invoiced. Okay, the invoice has been created. If I flick back to my opportunity now, I'll just refresh it. And we should see the stage has gone to invoiced. The finance status says invoiced, and the finance to invoice has been set to false. If I go ahead now and try to perform a cancellation or transfer, we get errors. Well, not errors, warnings, and the warning says this opportunity has an invoice associated with it, which first needs to be credited by finance. Please tick the finance to credit op flag on this opportunity, and you will need to wait until the opportunity has been credited before continuing. So what that's saying is if we swing down now to finance to credit op and click save, sorry, quicker to go down than up. It says just click save there. And then what we'll see is the invoice status is now set to be credited. This means that finance will now be aware that this needs to be credited. You still can't do a transfer and you still can't do a cancellation until this credit note has been created. So I'll go off and I'll create the credit note, and we'll come back and we'll see what's changed on the opportunity. Okay, the credit note's been created. Let's go back to our opportunity. Still set as the old stage and to be credited. We'll just refresh that now. And we can see it's at a stage now of credited. Its invoice stage is credited, and the finance credit top flag has been removed. Now, all this automation that we've just seen, the invoice flag being set and this invoice status updating to invoice credited and giving finance instruction of what they need to do. That's reliant upon something called one-to-one invoicing, which is another sort of system change that we're pushing live along with transfers and cancellations. Basically, one-to-one invoicing means that you can't have multiple invoices on one opportunity, and you can't have multiple opportunities on one invoice. In order for all this automation to work, the opportunity must be set to use one-to-one invoicing. Now, all opportunities created post go live will automatically use one-to-one invoicing. But for old opportunities, you must use your existing processes. And as the old opportunities all sort of dwindled away, everything will be using one-to-one invoicing, and we'll have this nice slick automation. So now that this has been credited, I can now go in and I can do the transfer or cancellation process. Okay, so the next thing we're going to look at quickly is what happens to the stage of an opportunity, both the opportunity that I'm doing the transfer cancellation for, and then for any subsequent opportunities that are created for penalty fees. Now, again, you don't need to worry too much about the process that I'm using here or understanding the subsequent opportunities. It's just it's simply just to understand what we do automatically with the stages of existing and new opportunities. Okay, so in the first scenario, I'm going to cancel one of the bookings. So we've got a product on there at a quantity of 2. I'll do a cancellation now. It's created some cancellation fees there. So first of all, now it's saying that we cannot do this process. We cannot change opportunity products while a opportunity is at the stage of credited. So what we first need to do is set the stage of the opportunity back to quote proposal, and then we can do the cancellation. So the important thing to note there is before you start doing any cancellations or transfers on opportunities that have been credited, you must first set the stage of the opportunity back, because there's some validation rules there that prevent us changing information on an opportunity once it's at a stage of invoiced or credited. It must be moved back a stage first. Now what we've done here is we've set the stage back to qualifying. So when we went into the process, it was set to quote proposal. As we've come out of the cancellation process, we've set it to qualifying. Now, we did originally look at loads of sort of default rules that said, well, actually, if we can work out systematically the products that are left, so now there's a quantity of 1 rather than 2, and the event booking, now there's only a quantity of 1 rather than 2. We have, we could put some logic in there which says, well, actually, if there's only 1 booking left and it's a status of confirmed, actually, we could set this stage of the opportunity to quote proposal, flag it to be invoiced, and it's nice and slick for the end user then, and finance just gets notified. When we actually started looking at this, it actually became quite a minefield. There were a lot, we've got lots of instances where we might have some bookings that are confirmed, some at quote proposal. We started working on about all the rules that we can put in place to, to look at the state of all of the bookings or events that are on an opportunity, and then work out what the stage of the opportunity could be. And that was all going very well until we realized that actually we need to put this in the hands of the salesperson. The simple example would be, I as a customer have 2 bookings, as we saw in example we're looking at here. I say to you one week, right, I'm going to transfer this booking, one of the 2 bookings to next month, or I'm going to cancel one, and then we might want to cancel the second one, but I just don't know yet. So I'll be back in touch. Now, if from a systems perspective, we automatically put that opportunity to booking received, it would be flagged to finance for invoicing. Finance would do the invoice. We would then hear back from the customer within a week's time saying, actually, I don't want to sorry, I do want to transfer that second booking. And before we could do any of that, we need to go in, we need to credit the invoice again, and it just creates more work. So what we've done is the original opportunity will only ever be in one of two states. One is qualifying if there are more products left on the opportunity, and that gives you as the salesperson the ability to leave it at qualifying, which stops any other automation, or set it to customer approved. Logistics, then of course set it to booking received, to flag it again for invoicing. So it's important to understand that when you've finished a cancellation or transfer, you've got to look at the stage of the original opportunity and decide what stage it should be at. Are there likely to be more additions to this opportunity before the customer is invoiced, in which case you set it to quote proposal or leave it at qualifying, whatever fits your process. If that's the end of all the transfers and cancellations and you want it invoiced, then you simply set it to customer approved, and the logistics team set it to booking received, so it gets flagged for invoicing. The other scenario that happens for the original opportunity is that we have no bookings left, so or no products left. So at this point we can see we've got a quantity of 1. If I cancel a second one now, like so, both of these examples, we've had no cancellation fees, but that's described in greater detail in later processes. Now what happens now is, because we've got no products left on this opportunity now, the opportunity gets set to lost. The other important thing to think about with regard to opportunity stages is the subsequent opportunities are created for any fees. When you're doing the cancellation process, if fees are calculated by the system, if you leave them to what the system has calculated, then the stage of the cancellation fee or transfer fee opportunity, the subsequent opportunity highlighted here, automatically gets set to booking received. If you have edited the cancellation fees, then it gets set to a stage of, I believe it's qualifying, and you need to go in and submit it for approval to your manager, because if the system has calculated that, for example, the fees for a particular event should be a particular event cancellation should be £1,000, and you go in and say, actually, I'm only going to charge £100, then that reduction in price needs to be approved by your manager. So the subsequent opportunity that's created, you must go and set it to the subsequent opportunity that's created will be set to a stage of qualifying, and you have to go and put it into the approval process if you've edited the penalty fees. If you've not edited them, it automatically gets marked as booking received, automatically gets flagged as cancelled. Okay, one more overriding rule, and that is the amount of transactions you can do at any one time. Now, bear with me on this one, because it does sort of require a bit of explanation. Whenever we cancel a booking or transfer a booking or cancel an event, there's actually quite a lot of automation that happens in the background. We get new opportunities created for cancellation fees. Bookings are moved between existing opportunities and new opportunities. New bookings are created in the case of transfers, and new events created and new bookings created in the case of transfers for in-company. On top of that, we have any trainers or purchase orders or audit outcomes that are linked to events that have been cancelled or transferred. They all have to be, the trainers get deleted and they receive an email letting them know. The bookings change status and may sort of move between opportunities, and audit outcomes and POs get set to cancelled or rejected. So there's quite a lot of automation that takes place in the background. The amount of automation that has to take place depends on the size of the booking that you're or the event that you're transferring. So if it's an in-company event running over 5 days and it's in-company training and there's 20 delegates, there's a huge amount that the system has to do. It has to change the event, change the status of every day or every unit for that event, change every booking, update all the trainers, create new opportunities. A whole lot of work takes place. If you're transferring an event with one booking and it's only on for one day, the same things happen. The trainer gets deleted and all the rest of it, and bookings change, but less less objects are changed, and less automation takes place. Now, within Salesforce, there is a limit to how many things you can do at the same time in line. Now, when we say in line, we mean sort of in real time. So as you can see, by a quick demo I did just now, when I cancelled a booking, we cancelled that booking immediately. The new opportunity was created immediately. If we go and have a look at that opportunity, we'll see that the events and that the booking that we cancelled has been moved across to it, and that was cancelled immediately. So everything happened there and then, because it was one booking on one event. When we're doing multiple things at the same time, you may see an error which says something around, this has failed because there's too many SOQL queries. And this means that the system has tried to do too much in the background, and it's been stopped. Now, all the changes that the system may have got halfway through doing are all rolled back. The transfer or cancellation process will fail. You'll click cancel, go back to the opportunity, and you can do it again, but just select less events or less bookings to do the to process at one time. Now, what we are, I mean, this issue only came up when we were doing user acceptance testing. So what we are going to do early in the new year, we are going to use a process called bulkification or batching, and this is something that Salesforce offers. So when you do have these very large transactions, rather than them taking place in line, the system will batch them up into a job, send them out to Salesforce. It sits in a queue at Salesforce, and then gets processed when Salesforce have the resource to perform this large task. Now, this typically takes like anywhere between 5 and 10 minutes in this queue, and the originator of the request, the salesperson or whomever is doing the transfer or cancellation, will get an email notifying them that the process has completed once it is complete. So that's going to be coming in the new year. If you do get an error referring to SOQL queries, just run the process again, but select fewer records. Unfortunately, we did look at sort of limiting the amount of records that you select to process. So we could say, you can only do a maximum of 2, or you can only do a maximum of 3 at any one point. But what we found actually was it depends so much on the complexity of the process that you're doing at that point. As I said before, the event, the number of events, the number of days on the event, the number of bookings on those events, the number of POs, the number of trainers, and so on. We would have actually had to, if we put some validation in to say, you can only select a maximum of X, we would have had to put that limit much lower than in fact the system can handle in many cases. So if you do get the SOQL query error, SOQL query error, just simply cancel the process, select fewer records, and try again. And like I say, early in the new year, we will be batching this process, so this will no longer be an issue. Okay, well, that's it about it as far as general rules go. Just left to say thank you for your time. Sorry, it's a bit long-winded. It can be quite a complex process. I say that it's very intuitive now. There are some nuances that you need to understand, so it is worth looking at and watching and listening to the training videos before you attempt to do the process, because like I say, although it's very intuitive, there are a few subtle things that you need to know to make sure that the process runs smoothly. So please do take time to look at the videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch this one, and if you have any issues with this process, please just give us a shout in IT, and we will do everything we can to help. Thank you very much and wish you well.